So why'd you challenge Zachary Risache one-on-one?
We going crazy off rip.
There goes Buzelis, and he will not be stopped.
So why'd you challenge Zachary Risache one-on-one?
We going crazy off rip. I really did wanted to just, start something, in this draft. Everyone says it's wide open. So I really just wanted to, kind of get my hands dirty, just create some, tension in between the draft. So the challenge is still, I haven't heard anything. So I'm just waiting for, someone to respond, but we'll see what happens.
I thought you were going to say is because, like every other American player, you just hate his buddy Rudy Gobert. That's it.
Nah, that's not true. But I just really wanted to, start like a challenge, against him.
I mean, when that headline came out, I saw it, I think, on Instagram first. It said, Matas Buzelis challenges Zachary Risache to one-on-one NBA pre-draft workout. I'm like, this must be fake. It's got to be fake. And then I talked to Ron Holland, your teammate with the G League Ignite, a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, we were talking about in the group chat, we were all just dying laughing about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the confidence. To me, it's like kind of a positive thing to put your confidence out there and say, hey, I know you guys are talking about him at number one, but don't forget about me. That's kind of the way I perceived it as.
Yeah, for sure. As I said before, I'm just, wanted to start something. It's everyone says it's wide open, and I feel like we're the top wings in the draft class. So, why not go against each other?
The quote in the story, again, that I thought was fake at first was, my advantage is that I have everything over him. How would you describe your game to people who are unfamiliar with you, who's never watched you before? Like, where are those advantages? What are the strengths of your game?
I really believe that I could do everything on the court. Like, I really mean it when I say it. I bring defense. I can, protect the rim. I can score on offense. I can post up. I can shoot threes. I can pretty much do everything. So I just feel like I have an advantage over him, and playing in the G League, that the NBA is development league. So
now give me more scouting report details. How tall are you? What did you measure at the combine? What's your wingspan? Like stuff that people would need to understand to know your game.
Well, I measured at 6'8" and like some 3/4 or something like that, but I was like a sliver away from 6'9", so it was like I was trying to like stand up taller, but they weren't letting me. So
gotta round that up to 6'9", then, right?
I don't really get why you don't measure with shoes on, you play with shoes on. So
it is kind of weird how they changed that a couple of years ago.
And the stance, how you're supposed to do it, it's just like nobody stands like that, But I'm really 6'10", I could say that with confidence. Wingspan 6'10". Weight, I was a little down in weight, but I'm like 205 right now. What
do you want to get to for weight?
I think before the season, I want to be like 210, 212.
What about 7 years from now in your prime? Like what do you want? What's the ideal weight for you when you're in your full physical peak?
I can't really answer that. I feel like whatever body weight feels best on me, that's what I'm gonna use. So I'm not gonna, change it if it's working. So we'll see.
I think player comparisons are something that help people understand a player's game. Who are some players, current or former, that you would compare yourself to?
Franz Wagner, Andre Karolinko, Paul George. I like a lot of guys. I steal a lot of stuff from everybody. I watch a lot of basketball, so I like Tracy McGrady, Joe Johnson. I watch Mike Beasley, guys like that.
Mike Beasley,
just buckets.
I love Mike Beasley.
Yeah, he's cold. He's cold. That's my guy. So
he scored like 25, 28 points per game in college. Had some big NBA seasons, obviously up and down, but Beasley was fun.
He's a bucket. Now,
so other names you had Wagner, AK-47, Paul George, Joe Johnson. Is that another one? I think there's like a number of different guys that you could kind of resemble. Like, what's something you've taken from like seeing Franz Wagner this year with the Orlando Magic with his versatility?
as you said, just the versatility of his game, at his height too. He could bring the ball up. He does a lot of things on the court. So watching him, it just, brings more out of me, of what I could be in the NBA. Also, one player I didn't add was Tracy McGrady. I love watching him too.
What's like with like some of these historical guys like T-Mac, AK-47, like what is it about AK-47's game, Andre Karolinko, that appeals?
one thing about his game that sticks out to me is just how he blocks shots. I remember watching a clip of him guarding Kobe, and he blocked Kobe's shot like twice in a row. So I just want to be like a pest defensively, and watching his film a little bit, just how he times blocks and, what position he's in to time the blocks.
He would have been a beast nowadays. Like if he came into the NBA this year, like for the way the game is played today, like don't you feel like he would be like even a greater player than he was in his years?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like he'd be like Jaden McDaniels, but just a better shot blocker to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like he had like a long ass wingspan, and he blocked a lot of shots. And like today's NBA, he could be playing some 4. He could be commanding point guards, blocking 3s. I mean, he'd be switching every single screen. He'd be everywhere. Yeah. What about T-Mac?
T-Mac, I just love the style, just like the finesse that he has, what he brings to the table. I mean, everyone's seen the one clip of him in a minute. He scored, how many was it? Or was it a minute?
It's like, I don't know, like something amount of
16
seconds,
points, something like that.
And, short amount of time.
Just like what he does, the style, how he plays is just, incredible.
Now, you mentioned Paul George. Brandon Miller said last year he's the greatest player of all time. Is Paul George your GOAT?
So I think people got it confused with what Brandon said. I think the GOAT to him is just like his favorite player, what he loves to watch. So I love PG. All my workouts are based off PG's game. So, I think everyone got it twisted what Brandon said, but he's not the GOAT to me. No, my favorite player of all time is Kobe. So, but I love PG.
Oh, so you're a Kobe is the GOAT?
Kobe's a GOAT.
So if you were doing a start bench cut with Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, you'd be starting Kobe?
Yeah. I don't know who I'd bench though. I really want to skip this question before somebody attacks me in the comments.
Totally understand.
But Kobe's my go. I'm gonna say that like with my chest out.
I mean, also here in Los Angeles right now as we record this, it's a wonderful thing to be supporting Kobe. I love Kobe, man. I think Kobe, like I grew up a Celtics fan. So I grew up hating Kobe. Okay. And then I grew up, like 08 finals, seeing him in 09, him beating the Celtics in the finals. Like you hated him, but then you grew to respect him. And then you grew to love him in his later years. Yeah. And then you see him dominate in his final game. And you see the lessons and everything. Like Kobe became somebody that even if you hated him as a player, I think you grew to love him. It was just undeniable.
For sure. Amazing player. Mentality also, I followed that for sure. Just how he approaches the game is just, 100% full effort.
Who are some other players that you idolized growing up, even if they weren't, players that you necessarily resemble? I
really didn't watch basketball growing up. So, I mean, one person that sticked out was D Rose. I love to watch him. I'm from Chicago, so, watching D Rose and him, bringing the Bulls back up was a special moment for sure.
Like when did it go from like just playing the game to then starting to watch the game as well?
Really, like pretty late in my years. I want to say probably before my sunrise. So like junior year, probably.
Well, why that shift? Did just the interest just develop, or
the interest, the love, just watching film. Watching basketball. A lot of people don't watch basketball anymore, and it's just really confusing to me because you play the sport, so why not watch it? And you could just learn like really fast what you got to do on the court, and how much better you gotta become to play against the best players. So
now with everything you're watching with players current and former right now, if you could take a move from somebody and install it into your own game, what would that move be?
Current or all time?
Anybody. Could be current, could be former. Any type of move.
I really like the Penny Hardaway, the spin step back. That's like, that move is crazy.
Are you working on it?
I have it though. I have it in my bag, but I don't really work on it. No, I don't work on it.
What are you working on now then?
Working on conditioning off the dribble threes, catch and shoot threes, pretty much everything. We do a lot of scrimmages, here against all the Excel guys. I try to work on everything. I know that I can bring a lot to the table, so.
It's clear your body's changed too. I mean, you mentioned you're around 205 right now. Like, what were you a year ago at the start of the season with the Ignite? I'm curious about what gains you've experienced there, because it also looks like you've become more athletic in that process too.
Yeah, Ignite season, I think I was like 190 before before, playing in the season. But I think I was 190. So just building, it's really hard also to keep weight, while playing. You're playing back to back.
Is it hard to keep weight? I mean, I just gained like 10 pounds in 2 months. It's pretty easy.
It's hard. It's hard for basketball players because all they do is just down back jumping.
Maybe that's what I gotta do is just play basketball.
Yeah, just go hoop. Just start playing in the men's league or something. Lifetime.
Everything out there. Nobody will want to pass me the ball. Just be getting sprinting back and forth.
Hey, that's all you need sometimes. Bring different things to the team.
I'll dive on the floor.
Yeah, 190 starting, 205 now. Just it's really hard to build because you always running, as I said before, jumping. But the hardest thing is to keep building the athleticism and gaining weight at the same time. That's one of the hardest things I think for me, as a basketball player. And me, I love challenges. So if something's not going right for me, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm not gonna give up on myself. So.
What do you mean by it's hard to build athleticism? Like what's the process to even build athleticism?
As you gain weight, you get slower. You get heavier. You can't jump as high. But if you do the right things, like with me, plyometrics, just staying in shape, also building cardio, the athleticism will just carry on. But some people, they gain weight so fast they don't. The athleticism just disappears. It's gone. So that was one of the hardest things for me to adjust to.
It seems like you're becoming more athletic though. Like some of the videos I've seen of you pre-draft, it seems like you're exploding quicker at the basket. It feels like you're jumping higher.
Yeah.
Like have you experiencing that?
Yeah, for sure. Coach Ernie, he's one of the Ignite, coaches. He's been a big help. He's always in the weight room with me, always pushing me to become better. Also here at Red Bull, I'm working with Red Bull. So they've just been on me, testing, seeing, how much more explosive I could be, seeing how much higher I can jump. And it's just, throughout the months, it's just got even crazier.
Now, you mentioned you're also improving on your catch and shoot threes, right? This past season with the Ignite, you shot only 30% on catch and shoot threes. At Sunrise, your senior year, you were at 47% on catch and shoot threes. This past year with Ignite, you were 47% on pull-up twos, which is really good. You're only 1 of 15 on pull-up threes this past season, which is obviously not good. The difference between Sunrise with your shooting and then this past year in Ignite, why do you feel like those numbers declined? And what are some of the things that you're doing right now to get back to those senior year of high school numbers?
Shooting a high school three it's very simple. The game isn't as fast as the G League. It's not as physical. So you lose your legs like really fast. But, staying in shape and just, keep conditioning even throughout the season. After back-to-back games, me and John would be on the treadmill like right after, just to stay in, more shape. And, at Sunrise, it's just easier. It's way closer. And, the ball changed, but it's not really an excuse. Like, I think I didn't have a good season. Some people, he did really good. Like, I know how hard I work and how good I could be.
What could you have done better this past season?
I feel like I could just be way better. And I hold myself to those standards. I'm not just going to, go under the limbo,
So I think with you, it's the type of thing where like right now you still could end up number one. I mean, we'll see what Atlanta does. Maybe Atlanta goes in that direction. Maybe they don't.
Yep.
Maybe they trade the pick to somebody else and then they could take you. Who knows what could end up actually happening on draft night. I think it's going to be crazy, especially the Hawks. They got the Trae Young situation to deal with. They tried trading the DeJounte Murray earlier this year. Who really knows? We'll see. But with the Ignite, I think part of it is like, feels like nobody had a great season. Like, Ron Holland went from a potential number one guy, and now I have him near 10 on my board. A lot of people have him like outside the lottery. Some people like Etan Almanza. I had him in my top 10 before the season, and now he might. I mean, we're recording this on Wednesday. The withdrawal deadline is tonight. He could end up playing in Australia, I've heard. So it's like there's like number of guys that could have been this or could have been that, and it seems like you're the one guy that maybe retained that potential top 5 stats. And we'll see with Ron Holland too. He could as well. But ultimately it's like they folded the team. Like I mean, it was another bad season for the Ignite overall. And when you and I talked back in August, I remember you saying to me how like you wanted to be the first team to be a winning Ignite team. And obviously that ended up not happening. It's tough when you have all young guys like that in a league full of grown ass men. Like that's kind of, I think, what you guys ran into when I talked to Ron Holland about it. Is that accurate to say?
It is accurate to say. We also dealt with a lot of injuries, with vets. So it was just, sometimes we have 5 young guys, playing on the court, and it's just very difficult to win. They have know-how, and know-how is, they know what to do, and they know how to close out games. And if everybody watched, all the games, I feel like we were always right there. Like it's just
competed.
Yeah, exactly. We were always right there, and we could have won some of those games. Not some, actually a lot. We just couldn't close out the games. They know what to do, and we're really young. But, I still think like everybody gained an advantage from the season. Ron learned a lot. Like Ron averaged 20 in the G League. Like, who else has done that? Like nobody does that. And, Tyler rose. Tyler wasn't even in the second round. I think he was really low second round. Now look at him, top 20.
Yeah, it could be mid-first for sure. Yeah, he is one guy that would rise.
Exactly. So Ethan, he's, everybody had their struggles, and Ethan is still going to be drafted, and I believe it. And it's just it's not like college. You're not playing against, guys who aren't going to be playing in the NBA. You're playing against all NBA guys, all lottery picks. They were, I think 70% or 80% of the guys that were picked were like in the first round. They were in the G League, so it's not like college where you're playing against, other guys who aren't going to be in the NBA.
For sure. And I think that's where like the strength of the G League over the years, it's like, yes, the Ignite was an experiment worth doing for the NBA. Didn't work in the way they maybe anticipated, but the G League has worked. Everybody's got a team now. You got players coming overseas. You got 10-day guys. You got, Exhibit 10s getting into opportunities. You get the 2-way contracts. There's more guys that may have otherwise went to play international basketball that are now playing G League basketball. And that's improved the quality of the entire league.
Yep.
Now, you mentioned all the losing and how you guys competed through that. What were some of the lessons that you gained and learned through the losing?
I think one lesson that we learned is that everybody's good. And I know it sounds like cliche, but everybody's good, in the NBA. Everybody's just really good. And we had to learn how to stick together, as a team, because we all might be on, potentially maybe losing teams in the NBA. And
as lottery picks.
Yeah, exactly. So not even as lottery picks. Maybe your team doesn't go well next year. So you got to, learn how to stick together and, fight through the challenges.
What did you learn it takes to stick together?
Just, finding a leader on the team who's, going to, stick up for everybody and say the truth. One thing, that I'm really high on is not sugarcoating anything. I want to hear the truth. And if you don't hear the truth, then, it could go bad for you.
Is there a time that season where somebody had to tell you the truth and you were like, okay, yeah, I accept that. That's valuable for me.
At Sioux Falls, playing against Sioux Falls Skyforce, they were probably one of the best teams in the G. I feel like they were the best team actually in the G. They probably could have won the championship. They dealt with injuries. I just wasn't doing good, defensively. And that's when the switch, Coach Hart put me on the bench, starting. I don't start no more. And I had to figure out what I had to do. He sent me film on, what to do. I remember seeing it, text message. He's like, you do this again, you're not playing. And you got to figure it out. And I thank him for that for sure.
And you think you got better from there as well over the course of the year?
For sure. I think defensively, it just got so much better. And I started to learn how to, time shots and block them. Just staying in front of my man, seeing the film that I got to do and watch players that, we played against Orlando. So my matchup was Jet Howard. And he was
a guy, comes up, handoffs, shoots,
and he shoots crazy shots and makes them. And I have to read like what he's going to do and how he plays and watch his film. So I just love challenges, and I feel like I can just get better from him and learn, a lot.
So you mentioned that Sioux Falls game is maybe one of your worst games of the year. What was your best game of last season where you look back and you're like, okay, this resembles more of who I am and what I could be as a player?
I think one of my best games was against Portland, the second one. Not even the first one. The first one I had a game winner against them. The second one was really good. I also played against the Mad Ants, Indiana. That was a pretty good one. I actually feel like I could have had a way better games, than I showed this year.
How would you describe yourself as a person in 3 words?
Positive, hardworking, and happy.
What's your biggest motivator?
Honestly, I don't even feel like I have a motivator. I just love basketball. I love just going out there and hooping. That's what I love to do. I'm not motivated by anything. And I feel like, if you need motivation, it's, I feel like it could be bad for you.
So it's just love of the game, just pure love.
That's all it is. Love of the game.
So you're not, you mentioned earlier kind of like sometimes we're seeing comments and whatnot. That's never fuel? So maybe
it's fuel.
It's not a motivator, but it's fuel. Like
it's fuel. It's fuel. It's more wood to the fire for me.
What's the most memorable moment so far in your basketball playing career?
Entering my name to the draft. Easy.
That just felt good?
Yeah.
Were you with your family doing it that day, like making it official?
Yeah, I was with my mom. I don't really show a lot of emotions, my mom was like, clicked it and submitted the form. It's like, there you go, you're in the draft. I was like, oh. It's a surreal moment for me.
How do you think you're going to feel when you get drafted?
I'm definitely going to cry. I feel like I'm definitely going to cry. Just seeing my mom cry, I can't look at that. My dad, I don't know if he's going to cry, but if I see that, it's going to be really hard for me. And I know my little brother's going to cry. So Vince, yeah, if I see you cry too, a tear might go down.
When did you first pick up a basketball? What was your first encounter with the game?
First encounter with the game was in Chicago. I played for this Lithuanian AAU team. It's called Lituanica. And there was this coach, Coach Odemus. He's like a bald Lithuanian guy, and he's really mean. And I was so scared. I didn't want to. I didn't want to go to practice. I would go back and cry to my dad. They'd take me out of here. I'm not going back. But he's been a big person in my life. He really introduced basketball to me, but he didn't really show the love of the game. For me, it was Dimitri Pirshin who showed the game to me. He's a full package coach in Chicago, so he's the guy that just really instilled the game into my mind.
When did it first kind of occur to you? Hey, wait a minute! I have a chance to go professional here.
I want to say freshman year. It was a pretty good season. I was playing sophomore because they didn't allow to play on varsity for
Where were you
freshman.
playing at the time? And how tall were you?
Pennsdale Central. I want to say 6'4", 6'4.5".
So you're playing point guard or something like that? What was your position, your role for the team?
I probably was the 3.
Were you ever doubted when you told people, "Yeah, I want to go pro"?
Yeah.
People think you were nuts.
Yeah, people thought I was crazy. But if you believe it, nothing else matters.
Well, when you've obviously this past year with Ignite didn't go great, but I'm curious in high school or even at a younger age, when was the moment when you think about the happiest single moment playing basketball? What was that moment? When was that? How'd it feel?
That was this past season when I hit the game winner versus Portland. That was a crazy moment. I think that was what win was that? That was our 3rd win. And everyone went crazy. Coach Hart came off the bench. We were all jumping around. That was just that's a core memory for me, probably.
Especially there weren't many wins to celebrate for that being an epic win.
Yeah, that was an epic win. So that it just, clicked a little more for us.
You talk about loving basketball. What is it that you do love about basketball?
No, that's a tough question. I really don't know. I just love putting the basketball in the basket. That's what I like to do. And I feel like the thing that separates me from a lot of guys is that a lot of guys like what basketball brings them and they don't love the game. So I think that's what separates me from everybody in this, in basketball. Well, also this draft. A lot of people just love what basketball brings them, the attention, the money.
Girls in their DMs.
Exactly. But I'll
play. You don't like that.
Can't say nothing about that. No comment. But yeah. Just I love the game and I'll play basketball for free. So
well, we've been playing it for a lot of money very soon.
Yeah.
Regardless of where you end up getting drafted. And I mean, it's nice that you're watching, a lot of basketball now with these playoffs that we've seen. What has stood out to you most? I mean, we're going to get a Celtics, in all likelihood, Mavericks finals. What's been your key takeaways watching these playoffs so far? What's been on your mind? Anybody you like?
I've been watching Jaden McDaniels a lot. Just, I also watched how, especially during the Suns series, just, I saw like a thing on Instagram where it was like they shot like 17% against them or something like that. So I really want to be that, that guy on defense, just be really annoying, just be that pest defensively. And
what's made him successful, you think, in the playoffs?
I think just filling into his role. His role is to play defense. He doesn't do anything else except if there's an open shot, he's shooting that. So he plays his role really well, and I think that's why they're so good.
I think one of the interesting things with McDaniels too as a player is like, so obviously he's been dominant throughout the postseason. Like Luka just had so much more weight and bulk on him through the first 3 games. Yep. And then in game 4, you saw more Anthony Edwards against Luka and then more McDaniels away from the ball. I think that versatility aspect you're talking about with McDaniels, where he can be dominant on ball, but then he can also just be a complete nuisance when he's off ball, helping at the rim using his length. Yep. Is that part of kind of the equation of being locked in all the time in defense for you?
Yeah. I just really like how he battles. Even like, I think, how much does he weigh? He's like 180, 180.
He's pretty light.
Yeah, he's light. And he always gives a, second, he doesn't like allow any second chance points, as soon as the guy misses, he's grabbing the rebound right away. So, and also just, he's fighting for loose balls. He's not going to give up. And I think that's the main thing on defense, the mentality of, how you want to approach the, defensive end. And he never gives up on defense. And I think that's the main characteristic that he has.
For what it's worth, 6'9", 185 pounds. That's what he's listed at for the Timberwolves this year. Did you watch a lot of Victor Wembanyama Spurs at all this year?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about Victor?
One thing I'm going to say is that he makes his teammates' lives like really easy, him being in there. And playing against him in the Rising, I got to play against him. So just him being there and like the presence of him being there and even him contesting the shot, not blocking, he's altering your shot. Like he's messing with your shot. Even if you don't believe it, he's messing with your shot. Because like I remember McClung, he drove in at the end of the game, threw a hook shot and like nobody blocks hook shots. And he like got a piece of it and blocked it out. So I knew I had to shoot a mid-range for the win. I hit the game winner, at the Rising Stars. So, and I saw like him trying to creep in and see if I was going to drive and he's going to try to block my shot. But I knew I had to shoot a mid-range and a 3. They're playing really, they're playing really good defense on the perimeter. So I knew that like as soon as I grabbed the rebound, I went straight into a dribble down. And I knew I had to shoot like a post fade or something. So.
And what are you most looking forward to in your rookie season?
Rookie season? I really just want to learn. I just want to learn the vets on the team, see how I can improve my game, what I have to be on the court, what's going to keep me on the court, and just improving, around all those guys. I think just being around NBA guys is a like a really unfair advantage.
In the beginning of the year, Chet kind of had a little bit of an edge, but then Victor, like late December, as soon as they put Zach Collins on the bench and put Victor at the 5, it was like he just exploded.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. And but also just Chet, just bringing them all the way to what were they at? Were they
second round?
Second round.
Yeah, I mean,
they weren't even
series.
like in like the playoff like conversation until Shea and Chet came back, and it's just what he's done to the team is just it's thrived them a lot.
I mean, both of those guys could have a rivalry for many years to come, which is pretty awesome that the league could have that organically.
Yeah.
Because like Victor, one of the games where he blocked Chet, hit a 3, like clutch 3 down the stretch of the game, that was like a moment where people were like, okay, yeah, this guy's the rookie of the year for sure. And
I'm saying it's going to be like a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type rivalry?
I think it could be. I really do. Like those guys are both going to be great for a long, long time. And the Thunder are already, I mean, they almost beat Dallas. They they could have moved on. They could have advanced.
Yep.
They're going to be in the playoffs again next year. And then the Spurs, Victor's going to be maybe the best player in the world in the next 2 or 3 years, or even the next year. And the Spurs are going to build out a roster around him. So I think that team is going to be a real organic. Those two are going to have an organic rivalry. Those teams are going to have a rivalry. And you'll have your rivalry with Zachary Risache.
There we go. There we go.
Matas, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you for doing this.
Good luck throughout this entire process, dude.
Thank you.